Hey guys, Damian here. So today we're going to do another Facebook review and see if we can really delve down into some actual issues that we found on a Facebook. Now I've had a few people have come through asking me to do some reviews on their Facebook, and I'm going to try and get to each one of them on a weekly basis. But for today's Facebook review is Connor Wells, who got in touch with me on Facebook and just said, go to town on my Facebook. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So got Facebook open. First thing I'm going to do, as always, is I'm just going to see, can I find him? So he's at a gig. He's just said, hi, I'm Connor Wells. Come and find me on Facebook. First thing I'm going to do is say, right, no problem. I can spell that. That's not a tough name. I think as we go down into the future, there'll be quite a lot of bands that I'll have no chance of spelling. It'll be very interesting to see what I come up with, but Connor Wells is no problem. Now I've got people, I've got 3 Connor Wellses, and I've got a page. Happen to know that that is his page, so I'm going to bring up Connor Wells' Facebook. Right, so first impressions, which is, there's going to be a bit of a theme to each one of these Facebook reviews that we do, but first impressions I think is very, very important. So someone who's never seen you before, this page opens, how do they feel? What is it that they're going to see, and what first impressions are they going to get? So first impressions are good. Professional shots, which is nice. This isn't just something he's taken on his iPhone, so he's really taken his time and thought about what he wants. The same point, if you look at the banner here, not only is it a banner which is a professional shot, but it has got a message. It's got his name on it, which is good, and it's got the message that he's trying to get across, which is that there's a new EP out on the 11th of August. So between now and the 11th of August, Connor's going to be very, very busy promoting his EP. So that's brilliant. So far, first impressions I can see is a great banner, a picture, and I look at the numbers straight away because they're instantly at the bottom. He's got over 2,000 people who like his page. That's a really good amount of people. So very first impression is, this is really good. If I was going to pick up on something, it would be that on the banner and on the picture, there isn't actually a front-facing shot of Connor. Now, when you build websites and when you are doing social media, one thing that professional marketers will always push for, pretty much always push for, is to have a human face on your website, on the homepage, or in this case on your social media, whether it's a band and it's multiple people, or if you're an artist, having your face on it. Now there are a bunch of reasons for this, but you know, a lot of marketers have done a lot of tests and spent a lot of money on figuring out what works, and we as people, we like to engage with, or we like to have familiarity, and so having Connor's face on that banner, if he was flipped around and it was the other way, I think would probably get people to warm to him a little bit more. I think that it's very powerful, having that familiarity, there's empathy. People are also curious as well. This will add to curiosity because he is on there, it's just facing the other way. So people are going to be thinking, what does he look like? I can sort of see him, but it is good for that first impressions to have a face because it kind of builds trust and it answers the big question, who are you? Because that is the first question that everyone is going to ask when they go on your website, when they go on your social media. The whole page clicks open and they say, right, okay, great, who are you? That's what I want to know. I want to know about you. And that face that comes up is more likely to get a smile reaction rather than a I haven't found what I'm looking for reaction. So if I was going to say on a first impressions, fantastic. One thing is possibly I would look at having a front facing picture because I really do think that first impression is very, very important. Okay, so we go down to the numbers. Numbers are very, very good. 2,000 people like this page. This guy is doing well. This guy is actually getting people to like his music. People are seeing his stuff, listening to his stuff, and saying, yes, I like this guy. I want to know more about it. Because let's not read anything too much into these numbers. This is 2,000 people who've said, this guy's cool. I like this guy. I am prepared to hear more of what he's got to say. He is a yes on my, I don't mind him clogging up my Facebook feed a little bit. So you've passed the first stage. People are genuinely interested in what he does. That is fantastic. Now the next thing we do is we go down. There's a few featured things for us to look at, but I'm going to scroll past that. Now the next thing, excuse me, is a pin, which is good. I think it's really important if you've got a message to get across what you want on a pin. On the first thing that people are going to scroll down and see in Connor's page, this is about pre-ordering his EP. So at the moment, all messages are leading to one thing. Now this is very, very important. Rather than having lots and lots of messages, it's very important to have one, maybe two calls to action. You don't want someone to say, go to my website, go to the YouTube, check this out, go and buy my EP, my back catalog's here. It's too confusing. And when people go to a website, or on Facebook, when they're on the site, just like it is at a gig, you are guiding them through. So if you give them too many things to do, they will struggle. So you want to have one, possibly two calls to action. In this case, the very first thing that comes up is, if you're like me, why don't you buy my EP? I think that's really, really good. So that's good. Now, we've got a couple of likes, 2 from Connor, and then 3 from other people. So that hasn't got that much engagement considering there's 2,000 people who like the Facebook page. So scrolling down, there's another push of the new EP, no engagement there. There's some pictures, which first one we've seen, second one's good, it's got eyes closed, could be a bit better. Third one is just an empty room, so I don't know what message that. I think that could be something you'd look into. I think it's very important that if you've got lots of pictures going up, that you make sure that the last one that goes live is, or the ones that you want to feature, that you actually do feature them. Videos we'll come back to in a minute. Then we've got upcoming events, so he's gigging, that's really, really good. Next thing we've got is tune in to 5 on Friday, a weekly live stream. Now, I think this is a really good idea. This is, as I talk about quite a lot, having you're the channel and you get to choose what you put on your channel. Whether it is one thing, whether it is 5 different things, you get to choose the programs. Now this is a program. This is what I call a pillar. It's a program that you put on. So every week there is a live Facebook gig from Connor, where he actually plays his songs, possibly some covers as well, and engages with the fans. I think that is a very, very good idea. It's something I do as well on Wednesdays, where I do Facebook Live and I try to engage. Very, very good thing. Then we go back to the EP, not much engagement. So what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing a lot of professional stuff, and I'm seeing at the moment not too much engagement. Engagement seems to be from similar people. So considering there's 2,000 people who are prepared to hear more about it, at the moment these people aren't speaking up, they aren't coming on. So the average engagement is under 5 at the moment from what I'm seeing. Now what we need to do is we need to look at why that is. Now this is the key bit, and this is why we're doing this review, and this is why you guys can actually start to look at your Facebook and copy these ideas. What I'm looking for is not what's good and what's bad. I'm looking at what can we improve and what's working that we can do more of, and what's not working that we can take away from. Now look at this one here, 18 this one's got. So this is, obviously there's been a time, this was the first announcement of the new music, and lots of people, there's been 6 shares and 18 likes. So that is definitely something that's good. So that was obviously something exciting that people can buy into. But after that, it was just the same advert. Now, there's nothing wrong with the same advert, but there's nothing in between. There's nothing exciting people. It's like putting on ITV and just having the same advert going round and round. It's boring. So the advert cropping up every so often is one thing, but what's going to happen in between those adverts? So that one advert showed people were interested. Oh, wow, there's new music from Connor. I want to see that. 18 engagements is much better than anything else we've seen. After that, people are going, yeah, okay, what else have you got for me? Same thing, there's another bit of artwork from the EP. People are liking that a little bit more. Then before that, it goes back to plenty of stuff without the engagement. So we're averaging around about sort of under 5, between 2 to 5 pieces of engagement. Even the pictures, which I'm surprised that people aren't engaging. So the problem here is we're not giving people what they want. Now that's the key. This is a very professional looking Facebook. There is lots of things happening. There's music on there. There's good pictures. The quality of the content is going up, but we're not giving people what they want, and that is the key. Now, I know from when it comes to the content on here, because I had a quick look earlier, there's lots of stuff where there's 1 or 2 bits of engagement. Now, as we get down here, I'm just going to scroll down a bit further, and then it comes to this tune in to 5 on a Friday. Now this 5 on a Friday thing is a very interesting idea. This is come and join me on my gig, and actually whilst I do this, I'm going to get Al to do some, one second, just to do some Instagramming and some Snapchat goodness. So whilst we've got this 5 on Friday, which I think is a good idea, there is something I would like to go into a little bit later. So we're going to store this, but this 5 on Friday is a good idea, but at the moment not executed well enough, which we'll come back to in a minute, how we can actually execute this a little bit better than it's being done. So we carry on going down, but 13 shares and more likes and more actual engagement. Now notice that up until this point, all the stuff that's been going on has been likes, the odd bit of heart, and shares. Now all of a sudden, we've gone into Facebook Live and we're starting to get more engagement. Someone actually is saying, sounds great. Someone's saying, how do you set up that cool, so I can get a reminder of this. So this is now engagement, and that is more important than a like. A like is the first step, and it is important because it carries on the algorithm, but what you really want is someone to engage with you. So, and he's got a little advert for it, that's really good. But again, then back to not a lot. There's an announcement. There's a lot of announcements I notice on this page. I think and if there's a lot of announcements, I would say there's a lot of push media. An announcement is, I've got a new gig coming up. I've got a new track coming out. I've got a new EP coming out. So an announcement is very much a case of me, and I think there needs to be more you, and how we're going to look at valuing the audience. The other two bits I noticed where there was slightly more engagement was another Facebook Live, which comes up, and then there was two bits on the 23rd of May, this one here, which got some hearts and some shares and a few bits, and I noticed that that's a thank you. So as soon as you say thank you for everyone for coming down, people feel like they need to respond because they've actually brought them, thank you. Not me, not I've got this coming out, it's thank you for coming down. And people go, oh, I feel valued because you're thanking me. As opposed to, here's a picture of me about to do my gig. Here's a video of me doing my gig. Now there's another one a little further down where one more time, there's another thank you, and there's even more engagement. So again, going back to that, how are we communicating? I think this is the issue with this site. We have got people who are liking what we do. It's obviously very good. I've listened to the music. It's very, very talented singer-songwriter. It's just that we're not giving the audience what they want, and we're not valuing the audience enough. This is more of a push media sort of thing. So then I wanted to look at one other thing, and this is really interesting, and this is very important. Come with me on a journey. I am going to go back into Facebook, and I'm going to put in Connor Wells. Okay, so I'm going back into the Facebook to have a look. I click the button, and all of a sudden, as if by magic, we have got all the Connor Wellses, which I'm going to go and find him, all the Connor Wellses in the country. And here he is, singer-songwriter at Connor Wells. So I'm just going to click his personal Facebook to see what it is. Now I notice there's a picture of himself, much more engaging picture than the one on his actual Facebook. So that feels more personal to me. All of a sudden I'm like, that's Connor. That's what he looks like. It's him playing guitar. That feels more personal. So all of a sudden I'm more likely to see this and go, that's actual, I want to talk to Connor. I don't want to talk to a flower. I don't want to talk to the back of his head. I want to talk to Connor. That's definitely Connor. I can see him. All of a sudden, I'm more engaged with him. Now I scroll down, it's got all his information. I hope you don't mind me, Connor, going through all your information. I do apologize about this, but honestly, this will help. The next thing is, when I scroll down, I won't go through all his personal stuff, but I noticed that he's got nearly 1,400 friends. Now the average Facebook in the world, the average Facebook person has, I think it's just under 350 Facebook friends. Connor's got nearly 1,400 friends. So Connor's a popular dude. People are buying into Connor. People like Connor. He is a very talented, likable person. The issue is, when I scroll down his personal Facebook, lots of the same information is on his personal Facebook. So at the moment, the question I'm going to ask is, why do we need a page? Why do we need a Connor Wells page? Because all of the information is also on his personal page. Plus, I get to know Connor much better when I'm looking at his personal page than when I'm looking at his professional work page. So it's still got his tune into the 5 on Friday, which you get the link there. There's still my EPs coming out. There's still pictures from his gigs. There's another EP. So at the moment, I won't go too far into his personal Facebook because that'd be a bit mean. But at the same point, you can see now where people are looking at this going, I don't need to go and talk to you on your professional Facebook, because I'm just going to chat to you on your personal one, because a personal one is personal. Now, I see this quite a lot. I'm going to go back again to his page. I think this is really important because people see their Facebook as professional, and the reality is this is just communication. This is just how are you going to communicate with people. So I need to go back to the pages. And at the moment, Connor's doing a great job of communicating with people on his personal Facebook. So therefore, they're prepared to say, yeah, I'll jump on your professional Facebook. Yeah, I can do that for you. But I'm not going to go on it because I've already seen your stuff on your personal one. So I think that is letting you down. I think there's too much content on your personal Facebook that is detracting from your music Facebook. And it's much more personal, because when there's a picture of you having fun, that makes me go, yay, Connor's having fun. When I see a picture of the back of Connor's head and a flower, I'm like, oh, that's very professional. Which one do I want? Which one do I want to engage with? Which one do I want to find out about? I want to find out about Connor, the real Connor. So if I see him in the sea swimming, I'm like, there's Connor swimming in the sea. So this idea that one has to be professional and one has to be, for me, mates that I can have fun with, I totally understand that one of them has personal information and that you don't want. And it might be political views, it might be friends and family, it might be any of that kind of stuff. But there is still that line where another 50% of Connor's stuff, of the fun stuff, can come across into the professional one and not worry so much about the personal one, and people will start engaging. People will engage where you tell them to engage. There's this big thing about you have to go for the demographic. I understand that, but if Dave Grohl starts a Snapchat and says, I can't be asked with any other social media, I'm just going to go on Snapchat, everyone's going to go, yep, that's okay with me, Dave, I'll get Snapchat, I want to be around you. So whilst you want to look after the demographic and you do want to be on a couple of platforms so that you can push the right media to the right places, at the moment, I feel like there's mixed messages and there's too many people going onto the personal Facebook, and it's too open for people to see what you're doing and then not need to worry about the professional side of it. So that is a big part of it. Now, the next thing, going back to the 5 on Friday. Now, this is quite interesting. I think 5 on Friday is a very, very good idea. However, why does it have to be on a Friday? We've come up with the name, which is a good little marketing thing. 5 on a Friday. I'm going to find one where I can actually press play and we can actually hear Connor sing, because he's very, very talented. Why does it have to be on Friday? Now, at the moment, I think there's one of those, I can do a gig and 5 gigs Friday, 5 Friday, that kind of works. But you're not getting the engagement that you should have with the 2,000 people you've got, leading me to believe that the 5 on Friday is partially because people don't want to watch it on a Friday. So why can't it be 3 for Thursday, or 2 for Tuesday, like Domino's? Or why can't it be Connor Wells Wednesday? Like, if you want to have that name, the reality is it doesn't have to rhyme, but if you want it to sound something similar, then you need to experiment with the times. I think doing a live gig is such a good idea. And I think also keeping it in the same time in the same place, like I do Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, plug. So you know that every Wednesday, that's where I'm going to be, come and talk to me. This is the same thing. If you want to go and see Connor, that's a place where you can go and see him, and it'll stay on his Facebook, which is really good. I just feel like the engagement means that Friday is probably not the ultimate time for Connor's music. So I would experiment. I would start off with saying, I'm going to do a live gig on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. Then I would say on the actual Facebook, I talk to people, and that's the communication bit, and that's the bit that's letting you down, is you're not talking to people. And I would say, I'm going to do this on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. I'm going to try it for a week or two. I'm going to see if it works. But then next week, what I might do is I might try Tuesday at 7 o'clock to see what the difference is. Hopefully you'll come and join me then. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to find the sweet spot for when I can do a live gig for you guys to bring you guys value. What are we doing? We're communicating with our audience rather than saying, I'm going to do a gig 5 on Friday. So I think that communication is very important. I would say axe 5 for Friday, and come up with a name, which is just something that you want to do, Facebook Live, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I just have Damian Key's Facebook, it's my Facebook Live, I just plug it as Facebook Live. For you guys doing this, you can come up with whatever you want, and I like the idea of it having it in the same time and the same day, but I really think you need to experiment rather than just come up with a time. Now, I do mine on a Wednesday because I tried a couple, that worked, but also with my hectic, busy schedule, that's the best time for me, so I have to try and fit it in. Now, if Connor's saying that is literally the only time I've got, that's fair enough, because I'd rather have it than not have it. But if you have got a Tuesday night free, why not try it a Tuesday night? And try it at 7 o'clock. You know, do you go to a gig at 6 o'clock? Not really. Do you go to a gig at 9 o'clock? Yes. Some people might already be watching Designated Survivor by 9 o'clock, so you might want to schedule it early. You might be something that you do while people are going home from work, but you won't know what works until you experiment with 10 different times throughout the week. So I think that's quite important. So have this 5 for Friday and change it around and find out what is going to give you the best engagement, and then talk to the audience. What works for you? Because I'm trying to bring you value by doing these live gigs, and I want to know when you're around to watch. And then, you know, everyone will have different times, but you pick the time where the most amount of people are there for you. Now, lastly, I just want to talk about how can we progress from here? What are the things that Connor can do and you guys can do to improve now that we've talked about those things? Now, I think this is and the reason why I've chosen this one, because I did have another 6 or 7 people come through, and I will get to you, but the reason why I like this one is because this is really good. I think this is a really good Facebook and a very good example of someone who's very, very talented, very, very professional, is working very, very hard. It's tick, 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 tick. The one-ish area that we're falling down on is that we're not bringing value to the audience, and the big part is we're not communicating with the audience. So this is just a way of going advert, 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 announcement, announcement, announcement. Here's me, 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 me. And I think what we've got to do now is, it's going to take a bit of time, but we have to start flipping it around. We have to start recalibrating that Facebook algorithm so more people see it. Because don't forget, you've got 2,000 people that when you put a video up can see it, but I guarantee you probably only 30 of them, 40 of them are seeing it, and the other 1,900 aren't seeing it because Facebook's not deeming the stuff as important enough. So when you actually look through the videos and the pictures, it has a little sort of slightly faint number and says 400 people saw this or 300 people saw this. But you know you've got 2,000 people who are interested, and it's not getting out. And the reason for that is because you're not getting enough engagement. If as soon as you posted it, 30 people liked it, then 1,000 to 1,500 people might see it, but we're not getting that. So what we've got to do is we've got to start recalibrating that Facebook. This is not going to be done instantly. This is going to take a bit of time. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to communicate. We're going to communicate it with the 2,000 people. We have to find a way to get them to talk and not just like. A like's good. A like is definitely more important than a not like, but we've got to talk to these people. So if we can start tagging people into things, you know, tagging 10 people and being like, what do you think? Or when someone, go to your mates, text them and just say, I've just put this live, do me a favor, can you just go and say hello or say well done or say something underneath that video, and then I can then comment underneath that, and then when your audience sees that, they see that there's engagement, they're more likely from a social proofing point of view to jump in. So it's not just about you communicating with your audience, but it's finding ways that your audience are going to communicate with each other over a period of time. So I think that is a big part, is the communication, recalibrating this Facebook algorithm. Then the next thing I would do is I would look at Facebook ads. Now, this is important. Now, when I'm looking at Facebook ads right now for Connor, I wouldn't, at this moment in time, be looking at Facebook ads outside of the 2,009 people who like this page. I would be looking at how we can actually get these messages, how we can get these messages to the 2,000 people, because we've got 2,000 people that are semi-fans of Connor. So we don't need to go and find another 500. We've got to get to these people, because we're going to spend a lot of time, effort and money to get it to 2,500, whereas we've got another 1,600 people who probably haven't heard from Connor in a while because the Facebook algorithm hasn't shown it up. So I would use a very simple strategy. I wouldn't push the EP to them. I wouldn't push anything to them. I would do something like a competition of how you can bring them value. I would do something like something fun, something funny, something life-changing that they can get involved in from your point of view, something that will make them want to engage. Asking them a question that might go your Facebook viral. So I did one the other day where I did a blog, and it was, if you could delete any decade, if you had to delete any decade of music, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, or the noughties, and you had to delete one, and it couldn't be halfway, it couldn't be 2005 to 2015, 2010 onwards doesn't count, you just have to delete one. 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties. Influence doesn't count, it's just which decade would you delete. Now, not only did everyone start engaging with that, but they started engaging with each other and calling each other idiots, because they were like, how dare you delete the 60s when the Beatles are there? And someone's going, well, that's fair enough, but I don't listen to it. And then someone says, well, I listened to 2000 to 2010 and that Kerrang era, and that's what I listen to. And people are like, ugh, modern music's rubbish. And it just went around and around and around and around. So you've got to come up with something that people are not just going to engage with you, but they're going to engage with each other. How you do that is trial and error, but you start asking questions, you start talking to people, you start making this as fun as your personal Facebook, which when I went on it was fun. It was really fun. It wasn't as professional, but at the same point, I got to know the real Connor from going on his personal Facebook, even though I'm not friends with him, I could see everything. So I think taking a lot of stuff away from his personal Facebook and adding the fun element, because that's what this is, it's fun. Yes, it's professional and you want to come across as professional, but people want to engage with fun people. It wants to be interesting and fun and exciting. So that's pretty much it for this. The question that you guys need to ask, and the question that Connor needs to ask from this moment on, whenever he posts anything at all, a picture, a video, a status, which, by the way, statuses are very powerful and brands don't use statuses enough. When you are posting something to your Facebook, you have one question to ask, which is, what value am I bringing to the audience in adding this? If I'm going to add the picture, I know what value it brings to me. It's showing me off and telling everyone about my stuff. What value does it bring to the audience is the big question that you've got to ask on everything. And if it does bring value, add it. If it doesn't, find a way that it brings value. And if it doesn't bring value, don't post it. Because it just becomes a broken algorithm that people are just seeing something and going, this isn't working. You're only getting 3 or 4 likes, therefore I'm not interested, because people want to see all the fun stuff going on. So that's the question. So hopefully that helps. If anyone wants to go and do Connor a massive favor, and because this is me ripping someone's Facebook apart and it takes balls. So if you guys can just go on Connor Wells's Facebook, give him a like, or give him a round of applause, give him a heads up, give him a thank you, go on his Instagram, do something, just say well done, because I want the same thing to happen when I do your Facebook. So I want this to be more of a community. So go and say well done to Connor. If you want to do me a favor, then what I need you to do is I need you to comment or like this video. Comment's better. And if you really, really want to do me a massive favor because you think what I'm doing is so awesome, I'm all about the YouTube subscriptions, because I'm putting a lot more content on YouTube than anywhere else. So hope that helps. I'm off to go make a top 10 video on how to get a publishing deal next, and then I have to do one on the new Ask Damo show. If you've got a question for the Ask Damo show, then just tweet me, #AskDamo on Twitter. And my everything's just, you put in Damian Keys, you'll find me. Otherwise, send me some mugs. Although I do like my Gorilla Right mug. See you guys tomorrow.